What's going on, everybody? Back with another tabletop. Today, this is going to be an actual product review. People have really been enjoying the Tisas conversations and videos I've been putting out, so I figured we'd just continue on while the interest is there. And I wanted to actually do a formal product review on the Tisas historical 1911. Obviously, I love it. Let's just get that out of the way. But I titled this video on purpose, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because I do want to talk about where I think it falls short, and you should know about it. So let's just jump right into it. Overall, let's start with the good. Out of the box, this is without a doubt, for the money, my favorite 1911 in the whole world. I love 1911s that don't have a lowered ejection port. There's just something, it just looks right to my eye to have a standard ejection port. And just so you have something to compare it against, this is my Springfield 1911. You see the difference. I just prefer the standard ejection port. There are people who claim this makes the 1911 more accurate to have, or not more accurate, more reliable to have a lowered ejection port. That is not true. That is 100% untrue. The only reason this exists is for reloaders. Back in the day, in the 70s, they started doing this because basically the only downside to a standard ejection port is this does beat up your brass. It eats brass for lunch. So if you want to reuse your brass and you really care that much, you can use a lowered ejection port. Personally, I think all 1911s should, well, anything that's trying to be classic at all should have a standard ejection port, but that's just me. So I love it, standard ejection port. The gun is so well built. It's all forged. There are no MIM parts in the gun. And it's not that it's fitted tight like a custom gun. It's just fitted right. Like there's just nothing that's poorly done, poorly machined. Like there's no piece or part or pin or section of the pistol where I just go, man, they could have done that better. So for me, I love this gun. So let's start in terms of the actual review with the what really matters, and that is the shooting. So from a shooting perspective, the gun has been 100% reliable. Like I said, I'm at about 700 rounds, a little more than 700 rounds in. I have shot Gecko ammunition. I have shot Freedom munitions, reloaded stuff. I've shot Remington UMC, Winchester, white box Winchester service grade. I have shot Cellular and below. I've shot these, the Remington UMC hollow points. I've shot 100 rounds of these. Critical defense, Powerball, Federal Hydroshock. You go down the list. My own hand loads, which are a massive hodgepodge of God knows what. Trying to think what else. I've shot a lot of different ammunition. It has run everything. Everything. I've not had a single failure on this pistol. So from a shooting perspective, 100% great. From the feel perspective, which this gets us into the fit and finish. Starting with fit, the pistol is just so sturdy. It's not ultra tight like a custom gun, but it's just sturdy. There's something about it. It doesn't rattle, right? Even after 700 rounds. Normally, about the 300 round mark, if you got a rattle gun, you're going to know it. And this one just, there's some play here and there, but like the barrel hood push test, it is 0% play. So little on the barrel bushing. The gun is so well fit. Even the trigger doesn't have a lot of up or down or left or right play in the gun. Just a really solid gun. There's a little play on the beaver tail or the grip safety. But other than that, the whole gun, it just feels solid. It's well built. There's no part on the gun, again, that feels like, man, they could have done this better. from a finish perspective, the finish, again, outstanding. This is the finest, smoothest parkerizing I've ever seen. You know, I'm used to like Springfield. This used to be a mil spec and it came with a parkerized finish. And this feels like sandpaper. Like, well, it used to. Now it's blued. But the stock parkerizing on these guns was very gritty and rough. You know, it's okay, but it's rough, right? This does not feel that way. It feels very smooth, and I just feel like this is going to wear in beautifully as it starts to patina and get beat up a little bit. So, man, from a shooting perspective, accuracy, reliability, 100%. Fit and finish, outstanding. Now, I will touch briefly on the historical piece. It is a dead ringer for a Remington Rand. It looks great. There's some stuff that we're going to get into that I don't like so much. So, but for the most part, if you want a Remington Rand, you know, dead ringer 1911, there's nothing that even comes close to this on the market for the money. Nothing. So there's the good. And I will also say, internally, the internals, the gun, it's not just the outside that looks great. The internals look fantastic. Every piece, every part, every pin is well done. So that's the good. Let's get into the bad. The bad is, in typical Tisas fashion, they get to the finish line and then they just turn left. I don't know why they did some of the things they did. So one of them is, you know, they have this half moon front sight, and this is not typical for, it's really, I can't find a single example of a Remington Rand 1911 with a half moon sight. These would have all been serrated. And here's what doesn't make any sense about it, is if you look at the Springfield, the Tisas 1911 Service, that is a pistol they produce right now. And it comes with these same low profile GI sights, and that one is serrated. So they're making serrated front sights. Yet they put a half moon on this one. I can't understand that. That's annoying. The other thing that's annoying is, once again, their grips. I feel like there isn't a company on the planet that can figure out World War II era grips. I just don't know anybody who does it out of the box. So it comes with two pairs of grips. You got your double diamond wood grips, which really you never saw on a Remington Rand. They're fine, but you know, it just doesn't fit. And then you have the plastic sort of, you know, these you saw all over the place, but the problem with these grips is they're very smooth, and they're the color of like a Wendy's Frosty. You know, they just don't have that dark bake light, almost brownish reddish look to them. They don't pass the eye test, especially against such a dark parkerized finish. I have a hard time just looking at these visually. So I upgraded to these grips, which is what Tisas sells, which is quite hilarious. They're full checkered walnut grips. They're dark stained. They're a little wider. They're a little thicker, and they just look right. Now, there's not a lot of examples of Remington Rand having wood grips, but there are several examples of them having full checkered. So these have, they pass the visual test for me. There's just those little choices that Tisas made where it's just like, man, why? You could have gone all the way. You were so close, you know? I guess one of the other ones that I would bring up would be the markings on the side of the gun. You know, they're laser etched, very obviously laser etched. I do not think these are roll marks, because they just don't have that look. There's something about an actual roll mark pistol where this is a roll mark pistol. You can see they have an actual tactile raised feel and look. because what it is those letters are smashing and smushing into the steel, and the steel is kind of smushing out of the way, and it leaves you with this visual that just works. And then you go to the Tisas, and they're definitely laser etched, and it just it kind of throws the visual of the gun. I think some actual roll marks would have been a better choice, but you know, not the end of the world. So we've gone to the good, the bad. Now let's get to the ugly, and that is magazines. I don't remember which magazines came with this particular Tisas. I believe it was these here. They're Metgar. Why? Like, again, there's so many good magazines on the market, like Checkmate, right? Great magazines. They're 5-hole. They got the flat follower on top, strong spring. They got the welded bottom, and they go and they include these magazines with this weird follower. I'm just not a fan. I hate this choice so much. My favorite magazine preferred is Springfield Armory. I own stacks of these magazines. They're on sale right now on Midway for $11, and they look right. You got a flat top follower, strong spring, 5-hole, and they're blued, not Parkerized. So I'm not saying anything about them being like period correct. Just for me, this weird metal follower deal and just the way the magazine looks altogether, it's just wrong. So again, Tisas, you got right to the edge. You could have gone all the way. So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Look, overall, the stuff I'm picking on is so small. I was able to correct a lot of it. You know, even the front sight, I could file that and make it a serrated front sight. It's not the end of the world. Overall, this is really the best 1911 on the market if you want a standard ejection port, old school 1911. There's nothing else close to this price point, this build quality. I mean, they're hanging in there with Colt, with Springfield. They are punching well above their weight class. Oh, I should mention there's one more upgrade that I did. Now, this is kind of like the full checkered thing I mentioned, that you don't see a lot of examples of Remington Rands, particularly as you get later in the war, with a wide spur hammer. This one actually came with a hammer like this. Let's just call it Type E. And it's just a narrower hammer. I just don't like this look. I feel like a classic 1911 needs to have a wide spur. And there are examples of Remington Rands with a wide spur hammer. So they exist, albeit not as common. So I did this. That's just me. Other upgrades I did are my typical 1911 upgrades. I changed out every spring in the gun. Wilson Combat 316G. This is the main recoil spring and the firing pin spring. I changed out the mainspring to a 23-pound Wilson Combat. I also changed to a Wilson Combat Factory Plus Sear. And then I also put grip O-rings or gaskets just to keep the grip screws from backing out during firing. And really, when you do those little things I just recommended, the gun goes from like a really good factory old school 1911 to like a solid 1911. It feels so good. Those springs that are properly weighted snug the whole gun up, and just the firing experience is so sweet. And man, it's hard to describe, it's hard to put in words, but what I don't like is a 1911 that's not that it's loose, but like the springs aren't properly weighted, where like the grip safety just is too easy to push in. It has no resistance. I don't like when the trigger is just mushy and has no resistance. I want it to like fight me a little bit. And so like installing a properly weighted leaf spring from Wilson Combat, now, you know, everything just feels tight, solid, firm, right? you match that with the outstanding build quality on this gun, and it just becomes excellent. It is excellent. I can't even describe it. I like this gun so much, I'm probably going to buy a second one and put in my favorite trigger, the Harrison design medium, solid, and smooth trigger, and a Ed Brown smooth, flat mainspring housing. But overall, guys, that's my review of the Tisas. You should buy one, 100%. They're on sale on Palmetto State Armory right now for $420. It's crazy good deal. Out of the box, outstanding. I can't recommend them enough. You know, it's really hard anymore to find just a classic 1911 with this standard ejection port. I mean, Colt sells one, but you're gonna pay $1,000. There's a few other companies that, like Auto Ordnance has a pretty solid one, but the Auto Ordnance isn't even as correct as this pistol. They're good pistols, but I've owned an Auto Ordnance BKO, which is pretty much this pistol, and they're not as well built as the Tisas, and they're twice the price. So anyway, that's my review. Outstanding, 9 out of 10. Would absolutely probably going to buy another one, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So you know, it has some imperfections, some things, but it's nothing you can't fix and change. So yeah, there it is. That's the Tisas Historical 1911. I hope you guys pick one up, and hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.